What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. So the Kellen Moore era has begun in earnest here in New Orleans, which means rumors are starting to swirl about what are some of the first moves that Kellen Moore is going to make. And according to an Ian report, he said yesterday, quote, they have a decision coming on Taysom Hill. It's hard to imagine he'd be back on the Saints in New Orleans, which is kind of funny. Like, yeah, where else the Saints be? But it's hard to imagine he'd be back in the Saints, but I guess anything is possible. So not fully committing. And by the way, John Sigler of Saints Wire did a really good write-up on this, laying out the cap situation that we're leaning on for this segment. But you're like, okay, well, why is Taysom Hill's name coming up in the crosshairs here? Well, because think about it, we all love Taysom Hill, right? He's been one of the few bright spots. He was really the only bright spot of the DA era. If anything, too much meat was left on the bone in regards to Taysom Hill. You should have leaned into him more earlier than you did. Kubiak did a really good job with him pre-injury, but the other 2 years, it was like even though he was consistently producing, you weren't leaning into him. So you're like, well, why are we talking about Taysom Hill? Wouldn't he be one of the few positive parts carrying for it? Well, it starts with the cap. The Saints are over the cap, and you're looking to reset everything. Right now, Taysom Hill has the third biggest cap hit on the team. You got Derek Carr, of course, with the $51 million. He's not making $51 this year, but because of how they did the contract, it's a $51 million cap hit this year. You have Cam Jordan at a $20 million cap hit, and then right behind Cam, Taysom Hill at $18 million. Now, of course, Taysom Hill is also going to be 35 when this new season starts, and he's coming off of a major knee injury. As John points out, Kellen Moore actually turns 37 in July. So he's probably thinking like, man, I feel pretty old. And this guy's about to be 35. I don't know about that. So the reason, so there's the cap reasons, there's age reasons, there's injury concerns, and then who knows if Kellen Moore thinks of that sort of Swiss Army knife as an integral part of his offense, or as a realistic one to build around if it's a bit unreliable and if there's no real other analog for him, right? Like, are you going to find another Taysom Hill?
Right.
That's the thing about his skill set. How do you replace a player in that position when his skill set seems to be unto himself? So, as Report is saying, there's a lot of reasons why Taysom Hill may not be back in a New Orleans Saints uniform. Now, if you release him as a post-June 1 designation, if you release him now, you save nothing. If you get two of these tags. If you release him as a post-June 1st designation, you'll save $10 million. But again, you only get two of those tags. So what do you do with Derek Carr? What do you do with Cam Jordan? Because two of those three are probably going to get cut with this designation to try to save as much money as possible. I'll say this. If it is the end of the Taysom Hill era, I think we'll look back on, or at least I will look back and think about just poor timing, because he really seemed these last few years like he had figured out his role. He gave up on trying to be a traditional quarterback. He was committed to blocking and tight, and it was really starting to flourish, but it flourished at a time when everything else on the team was going wrong. And so he never got to be as integral of a part of a major run as you would have hoped for a player with such a unique and exciting skill set.
Yeah, this wouldn't be because of performance.
Yeah.
I mean, when he's been in there, he's been really good. He gives you that X factor that nobody else in the NFL really has, and a guy that can run by you, over you, throw by you, catch over you. I mean, like all the things that he can do, nobody else can do.
Yeah.
But I think because of his style of play, he's not been able to stay healthy. Now, you could go back to college. He didn't have the best success staying healthy at BYU either. So it's kind of followed him throughout his career.
How many torn ACLs does that man have?
All of them.
Like 5?
However many you can have.
I don't even think I'm exaggerating when I think it's at least 4. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, and so he just, unfortunately, his body, and maybe it's because of the style of play, because, I mean, he's in great shape. That's the obvious thing, but his body has failed him, and he's not able to be in there. And if he was fully healthy, maybe you consider it. But I just don't know that, and I hate it because I love his style of play. I think he brings a lot to the table, but I just don't know that your 3 biggest cap hits can be players that aren't going to help you moving forward.
No, exactly, right? As we start the new era and it's wipe the slate clean time, that's a lot of money tied up into players who are on their way out. They're not even on the back 9. They're closing in on getting back to the clubhouse here. And Kellen Moore is looking to reset everything. Now, the Cam Jordan thing is interesting to me. I feel like, Derek Carr, of course, everybody's like, just cut him. Taysom too, while he's kind of beloved. Like, cut him. Cam, Cam said yes last week at Super Bowl week. He's going to be a saint till it's over, whatever that may entail. I'm not sure what you do with Cam Jordan, because he is someone, like, we always yell about how we want players to take hometown discounts. We want players to be loyal to the teams. I mean, he's been that. He never maximized his value like he could have when he was in his physical prime, when he was playing 98% of the plays, maybe, maybe the best, but definitely like a top 3 edge defender in terms of both run and pass, stacking 10 sack seasons. And he's not that anymore, but he's still a great leader. So I mean, again, 2 of the 3 are going to get that designation. Probably 2 of the 3 are going to get cut. What do you do?
It's tough because you're right. I mean, Cam Jordan is somebody that is going to forever be a franchise player. He's going to have his number up at the top of the Superdome one day. Like, without question, that's going to happen. He is a potential Hall of Fame player, and you never want to send that player packing. You don't want that to be the last memory you have of him as a Saint, but, last year the play just wasn't there. I mean, he graded out at 58% last year overall. Now, it did get better. There was some really, really rough times in the middle of the season, and it did end much stronger than it was at the middle portion of the season, but still, I mean, pass rush grade was 54, and that's kind of what he's, always been able to hang his hat on. And certainly, like, we thought maybe moving him inside later in his career, he would still be able to give you that, and just wasn't able to give you that. And so you got some tough choices to make. And nobody wants to see that happen, but you also have to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I guess it all comes down to, how does Kellen Moore feel about Derek Carr? Does he think that that it's just because of the relative, you still would not save a ton by cutting Carr, even with that post-June 1 designation? And so, again, does he think that Derek Carr is the right guy to just lead this year 1, try to win what you can, and then move on? Or are we going full rebuild? Because if that's, like, for me personally, trying to maintain a semblance of culture and leadership in that locker room, I'd probably do Carr and Hill here and keep Jordan and restart the quarterback journey. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.